What if the biggest innovations in e-commerce aren't actually happening, on the screens of individual shoppers, but instead they're behind the scenes, connecting entire businesses? How much value is really created when companies collaborate to engineer a whole new way of doing business? You see, e-commerce doesn't just happen, it's engineered. From the business models themselves to cybersecurity, the whole digital economy runs on strategic thinking, robust systems, and the brilliant people who know how to build them. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating, often unseen world of business-to-business, or B2B, e-commerce. We're going to explore how digital platforms are reshaping global supply chains and really fostering a new era of collaborative commerce. This deep dive is basically your insider's guide to how to build, run, and master an e-business. It's about giving you the edge on the tech and strategies shaping this, really fast-paced world. And hey, before we jump right in, if you're finding these insights valuable, please take just a moment to like, subscribe, and share this deep dive.
Your support helps us bring you more insider tips that could seriously help position you for a bright future in your chosen careers. And remember, you'll find additional resources related to today's discussion right there in the episode description. Okay, let's unpack this whole B2B thing. When we talk about B2B e-commerce, it's easy to mistakenly think it's just like regular online shopping, but for companies. You'd be forgiven for thinking it's just a bigger shopping cart, right?
Yeah.
But it's fundamentally, profoundly different. We're discussing the sale of goods or services between businesses, yes, but specifically via an online sales portal. The core purpose here isn't just about selling a product. It's about leveraging these digital channels to fundamentally improve efficiency and effectiveness across entire organizations. It's a complete rethinking of how interfirm trade happens, and that difference, that's where the real opportunities lie.
That's a really crucial distinction, and one that, trips up a lot of people initially. The difference between B2B and B2C business to consumer is absolutely critical to grasp if you want to understand, let alone succeed in, this digital economy. Think about you as an individual consumer. When you buy something, it might be, an impulsive one-off purchase based on emotion. You're typically the sole decision maker. Prices are usually fixed. You pay before delivery, and you want that package on your doorstep like lightning speed, right?
Yeah.
Often fueled by an immediate desire.
Yeah, definitely. Get it now.
Exactly. But B2B buyers, they operate in a totally different universe. Their purchases are rational, planned, and systematic. They're driven by operational necessity. They're making recurring purchases, often for large volumes, because it's part of keeping their company running smoothly.
Right.
The decision-making process isn't singular. It often involves multiple decision-makers across different departments: procurement, finance, engineering, maybe others, sometimes requiring several layers of approval.
Wow.
Relationships are long-term, not one-off transactions. Prices are usually negotiated, not fixed, and payment often occurs post-delivery, sometimes 30, 60, 90 days later, based on established terms.
Big difference from paying up front.
Huge difference. And while speed is always appreciated, punctuality, reliability, precision, and delivery schedules, those are paramount. The real takeaway here is that if you try to sell to a business like you're selling to a consumer, maybe with impulsive offers or fixed prices, you've fundamentally misunderstood the game. It's not just a bigger wallet, it's an entirely different brain at work, you could say. And understanding that difference is your secret weapon for building truly effective B2D strategies.
It makes so much sense when you lay it out that way. The sheer complexity alone sounds staggering compared to buying, a new smart device online for yourself. You're not just selling a widget. You're often selling a solution that integrates into a much larger ongoing operation. It's embedded.
Precisely. Let's take a common example. An automobile manufacturer. Before a single finished vehicle is sold to a consumer, that's one B2C sale, that manufacturer has made hundreds, maybe even thousands of B2B purchases.
Right, all the parts.
Exactly. They've bought tires from one company, glass for windscreens from another, specialized steel, intricate electronic components, countless other raw materials and subassemblies. Each of those is a B2B transaction, and they're foundational for that incredibly complex supply chain. These are not simple click-and-buy scenarios. B2B web stores, while they might share some familiar features like search and navigation, they handle incredibly complex ordering processes. They often deal with vast collections of product attributes, think sizes, materials, specifications, and they need elaborate back-end systems to manage everything from inventory tracking across multiple warehouses to complex financing arrangements. Buying in a B2B context is essentially part of the customer's job.
Yep.
It's driven by necessity, by scale, and the need for large recurring orders to ensure continuous, uninterrupted operation. It's about building a dependable production line, not just, a satisfied customer. 1.2, the immense growth and market potential of B2B marketplaces.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just some niche market on the side. It's a rapidly expanding digital frontier that's becoming a true powerhouse. We're talking about massive, almost unbelievable growth. It's transforming how entire industries operate, often completely out of the public eye.
The data truly is compelling, yeah. And it underscores why identifying major trends in supply chain management is so crucial right now. According to a recent report by Adevinta and Dealroom.co, the top 500-plus B2B marketplaces have grown an astounding 8.6 times since 2015.
Wow, 8.6x.
Yeah, reaching a combined enterprise value of $214 billion. That's not just growth, that's an explosion in value creation. And the market forecasts are even more impressive. The overall business-to-business e-commerce market globally is projected to grow from a substantial $7.72 trillion in 2021 to a staggering $25.65 trillion by 2028.
25 trillion.
Trillion, yeah. That's a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 18.7%. To put that in perspective, the U.S. market alone was projected to hit $1.8 trillion by 2023. These numbers highlight a profound and accelerating shift in how businesses are conducting trade, moving from traditional, often manual methods to sophisticated online portals.
$25 trillion. That's a number that just makes you sit up straight. What's particularly intriguing, though, is that despite those colossal figures, you're suggesting there's still massive headroom for growth. Where specifically do you see the biggest unexploited opportunities within that projection?
Precisely. Despite this explosive growth, it's fascinating to note that B2B marketplace funding, while growing significantly over the last 5 years, is still only about 19% of what B2C counterparts receive.
Only 19%. Wow.
Yeah. This isn't just an interesting statistic. It's like a flashing neon sign pointing to a frontier. B2B isn't just growing. It's a massive, underinvested space where disruptive ideas have more room to breathe and innovate than in the crowded B2C market. That's a huge insight for anyone looking for the next big thing, for anyone looking to make a significant impact in the digital economy. What's more, these B2B marketplaces exhibit remarkable resilience during market shocks and recessions.
That's interesting. Why is that?
Well, it's kind of inherent to their structure. They have longer sales cycles, which means their revenue streams are often more predictable than impulse consumer buys. They experience lower churn rates. Businesses don't just switch suppliers on a whim when systems are integrated. These relationships are built on long-term contracts and integrations, making them stickier. They also often face lower competition in specialized niche segments, which provides a degree of insulation. And there's a natural delay in demand impact between consumer and business sales. So, while consumer spending might drop instantly in a downturn, the ripple effect on businesses further up the supply chain takes longer to materialize.
That resilience is fascinating, but let's push on that a bit. If B2B sales cycles are longer, doesn't that also mean they might feel the lag of a recession even later than B2C, once the initial consumer impact has finally filtered down? How robust is that insulation, really? And beyond just being online, what specific technologies are truly the wind in their sails? What's driving this?
That's a sharp observation. Yeah, while the lag can mean delayed impact, the foundational nature of B2B transactions keeping factories running, offices supplied often means demand is slower to erode overall than, say, discretionary consumer spending. The insulation comes from those embedded systems we talked about and the contractual obligations. Switching costs are high. As for the drivers, it's definitely a multifaceted phenomenon. Several key growth drivers are fueling this expansion. We're seeing increasing adoption of cloud computing.
Right.
That provides scalable, flexible infrastructure. Businesses are essentially renting robust computing power and software rather than owning it, which lowers barriers to entry. The growth of mobile commerce is huge, too. B2B transactions are becoming accessible anytime, anywhere, freeing employees from desktops and streamlining operations on the go.
So you can approve a purchase order from the factory floor.
Exactly, or track a shipment while you're traveling. Then there's a rising demand for end-to-end supply chain solutions. B2B platforms are uniquely positioned to deliver this, offering comprehensive visibility and control across complex networks. And critically, it's the digitization of traditionally analog markets. Think of industries like, say, used car trading. The CEO of a company called Tuperchat noted it was much more analog-focused than digital.
Yeah.
These markets often relied on informal, manual processes, phone calls, faxes, maybe even WhatsApp chats for complex multi-million-dollar deals.
Wow, really?
Yeah. B2B marketplaces are stepping in to digitalize these complex, fragmented value chains, bringing unprecedented efficiency and transparency to sectors that were historically opaque and, frankly, cumbersome. This convergence of technological advancement and market need creates a fertile ground for continuous innovation and expansion. It offers tremendous opportunities for anyone who can identify and digitalize these pain points.
So we've established the sheer scale and the distinct nature of B2B. But how did we actually get here? How did the, let's be honest, often stuffy world of corporate purchasing shed its paper trails and endless phone calls to become this sophisticated digital ecosystem? It's really a journey from analog to digital, isn't it? A fascinating transformation in how companies acquire the materials, components, and services essential for their operations.
Absolutely. The evolution of B2B commerce technology traces a pretty clear path from quite rudimentary systems to today's complex digital platforms. And it's a journey that's vital to understanding e-business models today. In the early stages, we saw the emergence of automated order entry systems. These were typically seller-side solutions. Think of them as electronic catalogs that allowed buyers to place orders directly with a single supplier.
Okay, so very direct.
Very direct, often on a proprietary system, specific to that seller. Then came electronic data interchange, or EDI. Think of EDI as the internet's sturdy, reliable grandfather, maybe, developed way back in the 1970s and 80s, primarily as a buyer-side solution.
Before the web even.
Decades before the web. It built these incredibly robust, dedicated digital highways for exchanging critical business documents like purchase orders, shipping documents, invoices between trading partners. It established hub-and-spoke systems, mainly serving vertical market-specific industries. This drastically reduced errors and processing time compared to paper. And EDI remains a workhorse today, especially for placing large, recurring orders to strategic partners.
Like car parts you mentioned.
Exactly. An automobile manufacturer might use EDI to reorder a specific brand and size of tire for a certain car model every week, same quantity. The seller doesn't need to provide rich product details for these repetitive specified orders. The system just processes the quantity and terms. It really laid the groundwork for everything that came after.
So EDI was groundbreaking for its time, truly automating a significant part of the procurement process, but it sounds like it had its limitations, maybe in terms of flexibility and rich content. How did the internet truly change this game, pushing us beyond those initial dedicated connections?
Yeah, the internet era completely reshaped the landscape. It opened up possibilities EDI just couldn't touch. We saw the rise of B2B e-commerce websites. These represent the portion of B2B commerce specifically enabled by the internet. They offered much richer product information, detailed figures, images, even video sometimes. They allowed for occasional, irregular orders, and they facilitated cross- and upsell opportunities that EDI, with its text-based structured format, just couldn't handle.
More like a catalog you could browse.
Exactly. Then came net marketplaces. These brought together hundreds of suppliers and thousands of buying firms into a single online environment, creating much broader reach and potential for price discovery. And finally, we have private industrial networks, which we'll talk more about. These are web-enabled networks designed for trans-organizational business process coordination, fostering much deeper collaboration within a specific ecosystem. The key distinction here, for anyone looking to understand modern e-commerce business models, is that while both EDI and modern B2B e-commerce process sales orders online, B2B e-commerce offers far greater flexibility, richer content, and broader reach. EDI is designed for those repetitive, highly specified orders, almost like a digital conveyor belt for known goods. B2B e-commerce platforms, however, cater to both systematic and spot purchasing needs, with extensive product catalogs and features that EDI simply doesn't offer. It's the difference between, say, a dedicated pipeline for one type of liquid and a dynamic river system carrying all sorts of cargo. 2.2, the anatomy of procurement and the multi-tier supply chain.
That really paints a vivid picture of the scale and evolution. Now, let's zoom in on the core of this. The procurement process itself, it's more than just clicking buy. It's a strategic dance that involves multiple steps, decisions, and systems to ensure a business has everything it needs to function. It sounds like an intricate ballet of demand and supply, and understanding its nuances seems critical for effective e-business operations.
Indeed, and understanding this process is absolutely central to studying the operational and legal perspectives of e-business, which is key for anyone in this field. The procurement process involves several critical steps: deciding who to buy from, determining what to pay, and efficiently completing the transaction. And each of these steps isn't a single action. It's composed of numerous business processes and sub-activities. Imagine the vast amount of data that needs to be recorded across the sellers, buyers, and shippers' information systems at every stage. It's incredibly complex and information-intensive.
Yeah, I can only imagine the data trail.
Exactly. We can generally categorize procurement into two main types of goods: direct goods and indirect goods. Direct goods are those integrally involved in the production process, like the raw materials and components that literally become part of the final product. Think sheet steel for a car or the specific fabric for a clothing line. They directly affect the final product's quality and cost.
Okay, the core ingredients.
Precisely. Indirect goods, also known as MRO, that stands for maintenance, repair, and operations goods, are all the items not directly involved in production. This includes everything from office supplies like pens and paper, to cleaning products, to maybe spare parts for the machinery that keeps the factory running. They keep the business running, but aren't part of the end product itself.
That distinction makes sense. So a direct good for a car manufacturer would be the engine block, but an indirect good would be, say, the special grease for the robot arm that installs the engine block, or maybe the coffee for the break room?
Exactly right. The grease is MRO, the coffee is an operating supply, both indirect. Now, how do companies actually go about purchasing these different types of goods, given their differing strategic importance? There are primarily two methods of purchasing, tailored to these different needs. First is contract purchasing. This involves long-term written agreements to purchase specified products with agreed-upon terms, quality standards, and delivery schedules. This is typical for direct goods and maybe some strategic indirect goods, where a consistent, reliable supply is absolutely critical. It fosters stable, ongoing relationships, often built on trust and shared planning.
Locking in supply.
Right. In contrast, spot purchasing is about buying goods based on immediate, often unexpected needs, usually in larger marketplaces with many suppliers. This is more common for MRO goods or commodities where price fluctuations might be a factor and immediate availability is key. You need a new light bulb for the warehouse now, you spot purchase it. Procurement, whether it's direct or indirect, contract or spot, is highly information-intensive and labor-intensive. It often involves managing information across numerous corporate systems and requires a significant workforce of purchasing managers and specialists. Now, let's broaden the view to the multi-tier supply chain. This isn't just a simple linear progression from supplier to manufacturer to customer. No way.
Much more complex.
Oh, incredibly complex. It's an interconnected network of transactions between a firm and its literally thousands of primary, secondary, and even tertiary suppliers, all providing thousands of different goods. For a large company, managing this intricate web of relationships presents immense challenges. Think about achieving supply chain visibility, just knowing where goods are at every stage.
Yeah, tracking everything.
Accurately demand forecasting to anticipate customer needs. Optimizing production scheduling to meet those demands efficiently. Managing order management smoothly from initial request to final delivery, and coordinating complex logistics management across maybe continents. It's a huge puzzle.
That sounds like a monumental task, especially when you consider that many older companies are still running on technology that predates the internet, or even, the widespread adoption of modern software. I imagine integrating new digital platforms into that existing infrastructure is a massive undertaking.
You've hit on a critical point, and it brings us right to the crucial role of legacy systems and enterprise systems. Many older, established companies still rely on mainframe and mini-computer systems, their legacy systems, to manage core internal processes like accounting, payroll, or maybe manufacturing control. These systems might be decades old, but still functional.
If it ain't broke,
Yeah.
kinda.
Sort of. But the significant challenge and the ongoing evolution is integrating these legacy systems with modern corporate-wide enterprise resource planning ERP systems. Imagine your entire company as a complex organism. An ERP system acts like its central nervous system.
Okay.
It connects everything from how you buy materials, to how you pay your staff, to how you track a product through production and distribution. It's the software brain that tries to get all your operational organs talking to each other seamlessly. Evaluating evaluating different hardware and software e-business platforms often comes down to how effectively new B2B e-commerce solutions can integrate with these existing, often deeply embedded ERP and legacy systems.
As if they don't talk to each other.
Then you have chaos, or at least massive inefficiency. Good integration minimizes manual data entry, reduces errors, and ensures a seamless, real-time flow of information across the entire business ecosystem. That's absolutely vital for operational efficiency, profitability, and making smart, data-driven decisions. Without this integration, even the most advanced B2B platform becomes just another information silo, potentially creating more problems than it solves.
Okay, so the world of supply chains clearly isn't static. Far from it. Major trends are continually reshaping how companies manage these absolutely vital connections. It feels like a dynamic environment of constant improvement, driven by the need for greater efficiency, definitely, but also resilience and even social responsibility now. It's about proactive evolution, often pushed by global events and shifting consumer expectations.
Absolutely. One foundational trend that's been refined over decades is the combination of just-in-time, JIT, and lean production. JIT, as many know, is about minimizing excess inventory, ensuring materials arrive just as they're needed for production, which reduces storage costs and waste. Lean production expands on this. It focuses on eliminating all forms of waste throughout the entire customer value chain, not just inventory.
All forms, like what?
Like wasted movement, unnecessary processing steps, defects, waiting time, anything that doesn't add direct value to the customer. It means optimizing every single process, from product design to manufacturing to final delivery. Think of it as stripping away anything that doesn't add direct value. Closely related is supply chain simplification. Instead of juggling hundreds, maybe thousands of suppliers, companies are strategically reducing their supply base to a smaller, more focused group of trusted partners.
Fewer but deeper relationships.
Exactly. This allows for closer collaboration, which in turn reduces product and administrative costs, improves quality control, and actually speeds up innovation because you're working so closely together. It's pretty essential for JIT models and often involves things like joint product development and tight coupling.
Tight coupling, what's that?
That means ensuring precise, synchronized delivery of ordered parts at specific, predetermined times, often directly to the assembly line, minimizing any handling or storage. Very precise coordination.
That sounds incredibly efficient, like a perfectly oiled machine.
Yeah.
But also maybe potentially risky. As we saw during recent global events, if you're tightly coupled with fewer suppliers, what happens if one of those key partners runs into trouble? We saw factories grind to a halt because of a single missing component.
You've highlighted the precise vulnerability that led directly to the trend of adaptive supply chains. The goal here is to reduce that over-centralization and mitigate risks that arise from relying too heavily on single suppliers or single geographic regions. Suppliers who might be subject to local instability think natural disasters, geopolitical tensions, pandemics, or even financial crises in a specific region.
Building in resilience.
Exactly. Adaptive supply chains focus on creating regional or product-based chains, allowing production or sourcing to be moved to temporary safe harbors if a local disruption occurs. This involves a shift towards optimal cost, distributed manufacturing, and flexible supply chains that can pivot to low-risk areas. It builds resilience directly into the system. It's a direct response to what we've termed black swan events that can dramatically impact global supply.
So like hedging your bets geographically.
Precisely. A company might diversify its chip suppliers across different continents, for instance, even if it's slightly more expensive in the short term, to ensure no single event can completely halt production. It's about ensuring continuity. Beyond efficiency and resilience, there's a growing imperative for accountable supply chains. This addresses critical legal, ethical, and social issues surrounding labor conditions, particularly in low-wage countries.
Yeah, this is huge now.
It is. Concerns include things like forced labor, child labor, excessive working hours, harassment, inadequate compensation. Organizations like the Fair Labor Association are working hard to make global supply chains more transparent and accountable to consumers and watchdogs. And this isn't just about, doing the right thing, although that's important. It's about managing brand reputation and avoiding potentially severe legal penalties.
Risk management.
Definitely. And then there's sustainable supply chains. This trend integrates social and ecological interests into every stage of the supply chain. We're talking about responsible water usage, minimizing air pollution, using efficient environments for production, distribution, logistics, the whole life cycle. It's not just altruistic, it's increasingly recognized as good business and a critical aspect of long-term risk management. Companies that embrace sustainability can create significant value for consumers, investors, and communities alike. It often offers a competitive edge and certainly helps mitigate future regulatory risks. It's about building a business that's designed to last. 3.2 technological accelerators: mobile, cloud, and blockchain.
Okay, so technology isn't just supporting these trends. It feels like it's actively driving them, making previously impossible strategies not just feasible, but highly optimized. We're seeing really powerful shifts in how businesses connect, transact, and manage their entire operations.
Precisely. Let's look at the technologies enabling these profound shifts. These are crucial for anyone evaluating e-business platforms and security. First, mobile B2B. Mobile devices are becoming increasingly important in all phases of the B2B purchase process. It's not just B2C anymore. Buyers expect B2B e-commerce sites to be fully accessible and functional from their smartphones and tablets. They want to approve orders, check inventory, track shipments, all on the go.
Anytime, anywhere access.
Exactly. This expectation is driving companies to support Bring Your Own Device, or BYOD, policies, and supply chain software providers are rapidly developing robust mobile platforms. This means procurement officers can approve orders or check inventory while walking the factory floor, making the entire process more fluid and responsive. Next, we have B2B in the cloud. This represents a significant transformation in infrastructure. Instead of firms owning and maintaining expensive B2B systems, servers, software licenses, dedicated IT staff, the expenses are shifted to B2B network providers, often called data hubs or B2B platforms.
Pay as you go, almost.
Kind of. The cloud owner provides everything: computing and telecommunications capabilities, software as a service, SaaS, connectivity, crucial data cleansing and quality management, file storage. The benefits are massive, partly due to what we call network effects.
Network effects.
Yeah, simply put, the more businesses that join a cloud-based B2B platform, the cheaper and more valuable it becomes for everyone involved. Think of it like a phone system. It only gets truly useful when everyone you want to talk to is also on it, right?
That makes sense.
This leads to lower individual expenses, rapid implementation times compared to building in-house, and it fosters closer collaboration among partners because they're all on the same integrated system.
So it's like an all-in-one plug-and-play solution for complex B2B needs, but without the huge upfront capital expenditure of building and maintaining it yourself.
Yeah.
That sounds incredibly appealing, especially for businesses looking to scale quickly.
Exactly. And this cloud infrastructure enables advanced SCM systems, supply chain management systems that continuously link activities all the way from procurement to production to delivery. They effectively integrate the demand side of the business equation by including order entry systems directly into the process. The ideal scenario here is continuous replenishment, where inventory is minimized and production maybe only begins when an order is received, essentially eliminating excess stock. A classic example often cited is Hewlett-Packard. They once boasted an impressive 48-hour elapsed time from order entry to shipping a custom PC thanks to their highly optimized SCM system. That's a huge competitive advantage.
48 hours, wow.
Yeah, but perhaps one of the most transformative technologies emerging right now is blockchain and supply chain management.
Ah, blockchain. Still a bit of a buzzword for some. How does it apply here?
Well, at its core, blockchain is a secure, reliable, resilient, and relatively inexpensive distributed peer-to-peer transaction database. It's expected to revolutionize SCM, potentially even replacing EDI for certain functions because of its inherent transparency and immutability, meaning the record can't be easily changed once it's written.
Okay, transparency and security.
Exactly. Consider the diamond industry. De Beers is using blockchain through its track platform to track diamonds literally from the mine to the retail store. This ensures provenance, verifying a diamond's origin and journey, and combats illicit trade, like conflict diamonds. That's a critical security and ethical issue in that sector.
Creating a trusted, unchangeable history.
Precisely. For anyone developing e-business proposals, this highlights cutting-edge solutions for transparency and security. It directly impacts supply chain management and collaborative commerce issues by creating an unchangeable, auditable record of every transaction and movement. It's fundamentally about building trust in what can sometimes be a complex and opaque environment. 3.3 Collaborative commerce. Beyond transactions to relationships.
So, it feels like the ultimate goal in many of these advancements isn't just faster, more efficient transactions, but actually deeper, more meaningful relationships between businesses. This is where collaborative commerce, or C-commerce, truly shines, doesn't it? Transforming isolated exchanges into a connected ecosystem where ideally everyone wins.
That's a great way to put it. Collaborative commerce represents a significant shift from a purely transactional focus to one of building and nurturing relationships among all the participants in a supply chain. It's defined as the use of digital technologies for organizations to collaboratively design, produce, and manage products throughout their entire life cycles. Unlike the rigid structured exchange of EDI, collaborative commerce is more like an ongoing interactive teleconference among network members.
More dynamic.
Much more dynamic. It leverages the rich communication environments provided by internet technologies. It allows partners to share designs, complex documents, instant messages, conduct network meetings, even engage in video conferencing in real time. It fosters a shared understanding and quicker problem solving. A key concept within C-commerce is CPFR. That stands for Collaborative Planning, Forecasting, and Replenishment.
Okay, CPFR, what does that involve?
It involves actively working with all your network members, from raw material suppliers all the way to retailers, to collaboratively forecast demand, develop synchronized production plans, and coordinate logistics. The goal is to optimize inventory levels and shelf space across the entire supply chain, not just within one company's walls. The benefits are enormous. It can eliminate significant amounts of excess inventory and unused capacity throughout an industry, reducing waste and ensuring products are actually on the shelves when customers want them.
That's a powerful vision, where everyone is kind of working from the same playbook, anticipating needs together, essentially operating as one big, extended enterprise.
Can you give us some real-world examples of how this plays out, maybe in surprising ways?
Certainly, we see companies teaming up with suppliers and sometimes even perceived competitors for greater efficiency and market reach. For instance, Patagonia teamed up with eBay for its Worn Wear program. That allows customers to buy and sell used Patagonia gear right alongside new gear.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Right. It not only extends product life cycles, but also appeals to environmentally conscious consumers, creating a collaborative secondary market. DoorDash basically built its entire business model on collaborative commerce, partnering with countless restaurants like McDonald's and Chipotle to handle delivery, logistics.
Yeah.
And they've since expanded their fleets of drivers to deliver for other retailers too.
Integrating services. Exactly. It's not just one company selling to another. It's about integrated offerings that provide value to the end customer. Collaborative commerce can also involve consumers getting what they need from each other. That's peer-to-peer commerce, like Meta Marketplace for selling used goods. Or it can be brands integrating suppliers and customers in a feedback loop. Think of a luxury brand like Burberry influencing product design by connecting real-time sales data with social media activities, allowing greater shopper influence on upcoming collections. It really blurs the lines between producer and consumer.
Interesting. So it's not just business to business, it's weaving in the consumer too.
It can be. Even social networks are playing a growing role in B2B. They provide personal connections that can help decision-making in the supply chain, moving beyond purely formal channels to more informal, yet often powerful, networking and relationship building. Think of Dell's YouTube channel or Cisco's Facebook pages running product campaigns aimed specifically at business clients. They're building community and direct engagement. They're not just for consumers anymore. Professionals use them to gather information and connect. Finally, in terms of B2B marketing, this collaborative shift significantly influences strategies. For long-term contract selling, it's highly interpersonal. It focuses on building strong relationships through networking, detailed white papers, insightful webinars, industry conferences.
More consultative selling.
Very much so. It's about trust, shared understanding, and providing deep value over time. However, for spot purchases of MRO or commodity items, B2B marketing can adopt tactics more similar to B2C. Maybe using mobile ads, predictive analytics, sales enablement systems to facilitate quick, efficient transactions. The key is to develop an appropriate e-business marketing strategy that aligns with the type of B2B relationship and transaction, and that's a vital skill for anyone looking to make their mark in this space.
Okay, we've talked about the big picture, the massive growth, the evolution from EDI, the cutting-edge trends reshaping how businesses operate. Now let's get specific about the different types of online spaces where this B2B magic truly happens. It's definitely not one size fits all, is it? These marketplaces seem engineered with very distinct purposes, and understanding their differences feels crucial for anyone looking to build or participate in one.
You're absolutely right. To properly navigate this landscape, it's essential to understand the classification framework for B2B marketplaces. We typically classify them along several dimensions. The pricing mechanism used, is it fixed price, negotiated, maybe an auction? The nature of the market served, meaning what they actually sell, like operating inputs versus manufacturing inputs, and their ownership structure. Is it independently owned, industry-owned, or private? A helpful tool for this is something called the B2B matrix. It organizes these marketplaces based on two key questions. What businesses buy? Categorizing inputs as either operating inputs like office supplies or manufacturing inputs like raw materials, and how businesses buy. Systematic sourcing for long-term routine needs versus spot sourcing for immediate ad hoc needs.
Okay, like a quadrant map.
Exactly, like a quadrant map. It provides a clear roadmap for anyone looking to select the appropriate e-commerce business model to address a particular business problem. Based on this, we generally identify four main pure types of net marketplaces: e-distributors, e-procurement net marketplaces, exchanges, and industry consortia. 4.2 deep dive into marketplace types and examples. All right, let's dive into each of these types and highlight their key characteristics and maybe some examples. This is crucial for identifying the key elements of different e-commerce business models. First up, e-distributors. These are arguably the most common type of net marketplace you'll encounter. They are independently owned intermediaries that essentially serve as electronic catalogs representing the products of thousands of direct manufacturers.
Like a giant online wholesaler.
Pretty much. Their primary function is to offer industrial customers a single, convenient source to purchase indirect goods. Those MRO items we discussed, maintenance, repair, operation stuff on a spot basis, usually when you need it now. They're typically horizontal, meaning they cater to a wide variety of industries rather than specializing in just one. Pricing usually involves fixed price discounts, often tiered for large recurring customers. A classic example is W.W. Grainger. They're a giant in industrial supplies for everything from power tools to safety equipment. And more recently, Amazon Business has emerged as a major player in this space, leveraging its massive catalog and logistics infrastructure for the B2B market.
Okay, got it. E-distributors equal big online stores for business supplies.
That's a good summary. Next, we have e-procurement net marketplaces. These are also independently owned intermediaries, but they connect hundreds of suppliers of indirect goods to many buying firms. Companies typically pay fees to join these markets. Their focus is more on long-term contractual purchasing of indirect goods, and they often offer comprehensive value chain management or VCM services.
VCM services.
Yeah, these services automate complex procurement processes for buyers. Things like creating purchase orders, handling requisitions, managing invoicing, automating payment. And for suppliers, they help with catalog creation, order management, fulfillment tracking. These are many-to-many markets. Multiple buyers interact with multiple sellers, creating a competitive yet streamlined environment for ongoing needs. Their revenue typically comes from a mix of transaction fees, software licensing, consultation services, and network access fees. A prominent example here is Ariba, which is now part of the SAP Business Network. It's a really powerful platform that automates much of the B2B purchasing lifecycle, turning complex manual processes into efficient digital workflows.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, e-distributors are like a big digital hardware store for businesses where you can buy individual items on demand. While e-procurement marketplaces offer more integrated services and help manage ongoing contracts for things like office supplies or maintenance services, automating that whole back-end process. That distinction is really helpful.
You've got it perfectly. That's a great way to differentiate them. Then we move to exchanges. These are independently owned online marketplaces characterized by a dynamic, real-time environment. They often use option or dynamic pricing models, prices fluctuating based on supply and demand.
Like a stock exchange almost.
Similar concept, yeah. They connect hundreds to thousands of suppliers and buyers, but generally within a specific single industry, making them a vertical market. The purchasing method here is typically spot purchasing, focusing on immediate needs for more commodity-like products where price is the main driver. They usually charge commission fees on transactions. However, exchanges historically faced significant challenges.
What kind of challenges?
Well, they tended to be buyer-biased. The intense competition among many suppliers often drove prices down, putting suppliers at a disadvantage. And many exchanges struggled and frankly failed due to low liquidity.
Low liquidity. Not enough buyers and sellers.
Exactly. Imagine trying to sell a very specialized industrial component. If only 2 buyers show up to your auction, you won't get a good price. And if you're a buyer looking for a unique part but there are only 2 sellers listed, you might not find what you need, or you might pay an exorbitant price. A marketplace thrives on having a critical mass of participants to create real competition and choice. Many exchanges simply couldn't achieve that critical mass to be sustainable. Think of earlier attempts at exchanges for commodities like eSteel or paperexchange.com that ultimately couldn't sustain themselves.
Right. You need enough activity to make it work.
Precisely. Finally, we have industry consortia. These are unique because they're typically industry-owned vertical markets. They're set up by major players within an industry. They focus on the purchase of direct inputs, the core materials for production, from a set of invited, pre-qualified participants. The emphasis here is very much on long-term contractual purchasing and fostering stable, collaborative relationships. They often involve creating common data standards across the industry to make things easier for everyone. Their overarching aim is often to unify the supply chain within an entire industry through a common platform, improving efficiency, quality, and maybe driving innovation for all members.
So competitors collaborating.
In a way, yes. Collaborating on the infrastructure to make the whole industry more efficient. Revenue is typically generated from transaction and subscription fees paid by the members. Alemica, which started as an industry consortium specifically for the chemical industry, is a great example. Now, it's privately owned, but it still retains many of those original consortium attributes. It provides a secure network for chemical companies to collaborate on everything, from order management to complex logistics. For anyone designing e-business projects, understanding these distinct models, e-distributor, e-procurement, exchange, consortium, is absolutely key to selecting the right fit for a business problem and avoiding some of the pitfalls, like that liquidity issue with exchanges.
Yeah.
4.3 private industrial networks. The dominant force.
Okay, so beyond those more open or semi-open marketplaces we've just discussed, some of the most powerful and deeply integrated B2B connections happen in these invitation-only ecosystems. These private industrial networks, or peons, sound like the true backbone, maybe the hidden engine, of many large-scale operations. It feels like where the concept of collaborative commerce truly gets put into practice at a deep organizational level.
They absolutely are, and they represent the most prevalent form of B2B e-commerce today by value. They directly address the operational perspectives crucial for understanding how businesses truly function at scale. Private industrial networks are essentially web-enabled networks specifically designed for the coordination of trans-organizational business processes, basically, facilitating that deep collaborative commerce we talked about. They are the direct descendants of EDI, but significantly enhanced by internet technologies, and they are almost always closely tied to a firm's core enterprise resource planning ERP system.
Tightly integrated, then.
Very tightly integrated. You'll primarily find them in manufacturing, retail, and other support industries, where that tight integration with suppliers and distributors is absolutely paramount for efficiency. The structure is quite distinct. Typically, a single, large manufacturing or retail firm sponsors and often owns the network. This sponsor sets the rules, provides the platform, and invites partners in. The scope can range from coordinating with just a few key strategic suppliers to orchestrating potentially an entire industry supply chain, bringing hundreds or even thousands of partners into its digital fold.
So a major player essentially builds its own digital ecosystem and then invites its trusted partners in. What's the biggest hurdle there? Is it purely the technical integration, or is it more about the fundamental shift in how businesses have to share control and data in such a closed environment?
That's a crucial question because the hurdles are definitely multifaceted. Their objectives are clear, though. Achieving efficient purchasing and selling across their network, increasing supply chain visibility so all partners know where products are at any given moment, fostering closer buyer-supplier relationships that can lead to joint innovation, enabling global scale operations, and ensuring continuous business process coordination. Procter & Gamble is a classic example of a company leveraging such a network to manage its vast array of products and global supply chain. But perhaps one of the most well-known, almost legendary case studies is Walmart.
Ah, yes, Walmart.
Their private network, which evolved from an early EDI system into what's known as Retail Link and later the Global Replenishment System, GRS, is phenomenal. This system helps them manage inventory, predict demand with incredible accuracy, and support their massive omnichannel growth. Retail Link allows Walmart and its thousands of suppliers to share real-time sales data, inventory data.
Real time.
Yeah, enabling them to make collaborative decisions that optimize stock levels and replenishment cycles down to the store level. This directly illustrates the power of understanding major trends in supply chain management and applying technology brilliantly to solve complex logistical problems. Walmart doesn't just sell goods, it orchestrates one of the most sophisticated supply chains on the planet, largely through this private network. However, implementing these networks isn't without its significant implementation barriers.
Okay, what are the big ones?
Well, one significant concern, as you hinted, is the sharing of proprietary and sensitive data. Companies can be very hesitant to open up their internal operations, sales figures, or product designs to partners, even trusted ones. They fear loss of competitive advantage or potential security breaches.
Hmm.
Imagine asking a key supplier, who might also supply your competitor, to see your entire inventory system.
Yeah, that requires a lot of trust.
A huge amount. Another major hurdle is the sheer difficulty and expense of integrating these private industrial networks with existing ERP and legacy systems. Older ERP systems, often not designed for external internet-compliant interaction, pose complex integration challenges. It requires specialized IT talent and significant investment. It's like trying to connect a brand new high-speed internet line to a vintage rotary phone, technically challenging. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, it requires a significant change in the mindset and behavior of employees and suppliers.
The human element.
Absolutely. All participants lose some degree of independence. They have to shift their allegiance, in a way, from solely their own firm to this broader trans-organizational enterprise. This means everyone needs to be committed to the collaborative vision, trust the system, trust the partners, and be willing to adapt their internal processes. It's not just a technology rollout, it's a profound cultural shift. For anyone planning an e-commerce project, understanding these networks and their inherent challenges, technical, financial, cultural, is vital for developing a truly professional and viable e-business proposal that accounts for both the technology and the critical human elements of change. Hashtag outro.
Wow. What an incredible journey through the engineered world of B2B e-commerce. We've really seen how these B2B transactions are truly the silent powerhouse of the digital economy, haven't they? Moving far beyond simple online sales to integrate, optimize, and even revolutionize global supply chains. From the distinct, rational characteristics of B2B buyers compared to consumers, to the evolution from legacy EDI systems to dynamic cloud-based platforms, and the transparent promise of blockchain. It's just crystal clear that the future of business hinges on smart, strategic, and deeply collaborative digital connections. We've explored how understanding these major trends in supply chain management and collaborative commerce can equip you, our listeners, to analyze technologies, evaluate platforms, and even assess the critical legal, ethical, and social considerations in our increasingly interconnected world. And remember that initial question we started with, about where the biggest innovations are happening.
It really does seem to be in these engineered ecosystems, where businesses are constantly finding new ways to connect and collaborate, driving unprecedented growth and building resilience in the face of ever-changing global dynamics. It's a world just ripe with opportunity for those who understand its inner workings. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We sincerely hope you're leaving with a clearer vision of the vast opportunities within B2B e-commerce and supply chain management, and how your understanding of these complex systems can empower your future career. If you enjoyed this discussion and found it valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe for more insights, and maybe share it with someone who might find it equally valuable. And don't forget, all the supplementary resources mentioned today, links and further reading, are available right there in the episode description. So as you look at the products around you today or tomorrow, maybe consider this. How many unseen B2B transactions, how many layers of sophisticated supply chain management and strategic collaboration had to flawlessly execute for that product to actually reach you? Every transaction, every connection, every innovation, it all starts with someone who understands the system behind the screen. Until next time, stay curious, stay strategic, and keep turning complexity into opportunity.